White House now hinting again, President Obama may use executive action to once and for all shut down Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. The administration calling on Congress to remove any obstacles to closing the terrorist detention center because they claim keeping it open doesn't make financial sense or national security sense. Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum is a Republican presidential candidate who I'm sure has thoughts on this and more. So, Senator, here we go again, right? The threatening of the executive action before Obama goes out of office. Do you think he's going to do it?
If past is prologue, then obviously he doesn't seem to be bound at all by any kind of legislation or laws that are in place. The president should be worried more about making sure that America is safe as opposed to appeasing the left wing of his party before he comes out of office. The fact of the matter is we shouldn't have been sending the people we've sent home from Gitmo. And in fact, we should be sending more people to Gitmo to keep this country safer than it is.
Well, what he wants to do is he wants to close it down, and he wants to move the highest of the highest prisoners as far as level of terrorism into camps and, prisons right here in the United States. How's that going to go over?
Well, as we've seen, detention facilities are not impregnable. I mean, people do escape from them, and clearly, when you look at the militants that Al Qaeda and ISIS and others have recruited here in the United States, I would not expect that someone in one of those facilities would not try to escape, or someone would try to let this person free. I think you're bringing more opportunity for terrorism here in the United States when you bring people into the mainland of the country.
I find it interesting that he's calling on Congress to somehow come up with a compromise on this. In other words, it really wouldn't be a compromise. It would be just see it my way, right?
Concession, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a concession.
Let's move on to something that I think some people are going to find outrageous and crossing the line to a certain extent. You have this immigration activist group now who has a very special and very, dirty message for Donald Trump. Listen to this.
You have attacked people
for speaking Mexican in this nation.
It's Spanish, idiota.
Maybe a little less hairspray and more education. Millions of working Latinos would be deported.
If you get your loco way.
All right, so we didn't play the bleep, 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 bleep part there. But basically, you have these 10 to 12-year-old Latino kids using curse words that are bleeped out, directing them at Donald Trump. Is it effective?
Well, I can't speak to whether it's effective. It certainly is effective. They got it played on your station.
Yep.
They probably wouldn't have they not used the explicit words. Unfortunately, this is an organization that's using 10 and 12-year-old kids to say words that we shouldn't be encouraging 10 and 12-year-old kids to say, and that certainly doesn't improve the public discourse. And it, again, sort of highlights that all rules are to be broken in order to be able to get your point across. That's not something you want to teach kids. That's it's not a good example.
You got to wonder how the parents made that decision to let the kids actually say those words. Speaking, though, of desperation, what does Rick Santorum have to do to get better numbers in the polls and get on that main stage on the debate?
Well, I mean, look, the reason I'm not on the main stage is not Rick Santorum's issue. It's the issue of the Republican National Committee and the networks who've decided that it's their job to segregate the field based on something that has no predictive value as to who the nominee is going to be, which is national polls. In the Des Moines Register poll, 88% of the voters hadn't made up their mind yet. In national polls, it's like 75 or 80%. The bottom line is these polls are meaningless, and yet they're being used, as you're going to see probably an announcement tonight on Fox Business, to eliminate certain candidates completely, some who actually may be doing well in some of the earlier states, and then drop one or more candidates down to the earlier debate. Again, some of them doing actually pretty well.
So what
in
are
the
you
earlier
arguing?
states.
Are you arguing that everyone should be on the stage then?
Yeah.
I mean, what barometer should they use then if they don't use polls?
Well, the barometer that's always been used, if you tested 1% in a national poll, you're allowed on the stage. And that's always been the barometer. And what they've done, because there's so many candidates, is say, well, we're going to create a top tier. I had people come up to me all the time saying, gee, I wish you were in the race. And I said, well, I sort of am. Well, we haven't seen you in the debates. Well, the fact of the matter is about 10 times more people watch the second debate than the first. Yeah. And you're not considered a major player. And it's all based on arbitrary numbers. Look at what happened in Kentucky just the other day.
You could look at it. That's true about Kentucky. But you could look at it as a positive. I'm thinking back to the first what was called the kitty debate when Carly Fiorina really, she hit it out of the park and she got a lot more recognition. So there could be a positive on that too. Anyway,
Well,
we'll see how it flushes out.
I would just say that if you divided the field in half and randomly assigned people, you get everybody up on the stage in a forum that would actually be befitting of a presidential debate, as opposed to relegating the top tier and bottom tier. And I think that's unfortunate.
We will see how it plays out. Rick
Thank
Santorum
you.
still in the race. Thanks, sir.